Hi there and welcome to our July release video. I'm Barbara, I'm here with Jacob today and we'll walk you through what's new in Conic this month. So if this is your first Conic video, make sure to check out our Get Started page. It's a perfect place to see how Conic works. We're improving Conic every month to make BIM simpler and more connected because we don't believe in workarounds. We believe there should be just one clear, open workflow that works for everyone on any device. Okay, let's dive in, starting with smarter Revit to IFC classification. As many of you know, our Revit to Conic pipeline plays a key role in helping teams transition to truly open BIM workflows. And this month, we've expanded our category mapping, meaning more built-in Revit categories are now automatically recognized and translated into IFC classes. This will certainly reduce manual remapping and it improves the consistency across your projects.
Let me demonstrate this with this sample project in Revit. So in Revit, let me open the Conic plugin and export this model to Conic, which will basically open up a list of projects I have access to within Conic. Let me pick this one here and just start converting this to a Conic project. So basically what's happening now is all Revit categories are now automatically mapped to an IFC class or corresponding IFC class, because Conic is heavily based on the IFC data schema. So let's go to this project here and see what this looks like. Okay, so I'll open this model and let's take a look at the IFC classes that have come into this project now. So as we can see, the geometry has come in just fine. When opening the browse panel, I can see here all the different IFC classes that were assigned to objects in the model. You can see different classes like windows, walls, stairs, and so on. So all of these Revit categories were automatically mapped to corresponding IFC classes. However, we can see that there are still a few what we call building element proxies, which is kind of a generic class. Maybe let's set them in scope to show you exactly what these are. It looks like some of the site objects like the trees and this site is still a building element proxy, as well as some other objects like, for example, these toilets. If I select them here, these toilets, I can see in the inspect panel indeed that these are building element proxies. But actually, if I take a look at the Revit model itself, so let me check out these toilets here. I can see these toilets are actually generic models. So it kind of makes sense that in Conic these are building element proxies, because we don't really know how to map a generic model to a corresponding IFC class. The list of supported Revit categories that is now properly mapped to IFC is extended with this version, especially with a focus on MEP objects like pipe segments, duct segments, and so on. And of course, if there are objects that are still not properly classified as IFC objects, or the mapping is not complete, you can still manually correct this within Conic itself. So you can, in this case, these toilets, I can select them, change their class manually to something, or I can use the AI assistant to help me decide what this actually is. So in this case, sanitary terminals. Let me accept this and edit this class for these toilets.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. I think this will be a big help for anyone managing structured IFC exports from Revit. And up next is something you'll notice right away while modeling, because snapping just got a whole lot better. You can now snap directly to liner edges, so aligning elements is faster, and you don't need extra geometry to get things in place.
Yeah, so we've indeed extended the possible options for snapping. We already had some snapping mechanisms in place, for example, when creating new geometry, snapping to vertices, so where two edges meet, like this for instance, was already possible. Now it's also possible to snap to edges directly, or to midpoints, or to extensions of edges. So for instance, the extension of this edge, this one here, also works with slightly more complicated geometry. So for instance, these two extensions where they intersect, for instance, and it just works naturally by just hovering over the geometry you want to snap to. So it's really intuitive, and It works in conjunction with already pre-existing snapping mechanisms. So for example, for linear moves, let's say for instance, when push-pulling, let's say this face here, there is already a linear snapping mechanism in place where it snaps to parallel faces, parallel edges, and so on, dependent on the context, of course. So for instance, it makes it really easy to start modifying geometry and snapping to the context. This already existing mechanism works in conjunction with these new snapping options. So for example, let me create some new geometry here by snapping to these midpoints and snapping here to this outer face. Just makes it really intuitive and really fast to model in 3D.
Okay, maybe snapping sounds like a small thing, but I think it's indeed a smoother alignment can save you serious time. Okay, now let's talk data, and more specifically, the Building Smart Data Dictionary. With this release, Conic now supports a live link to the BSDD service. That means that now you can browse, you can connect and assign standardized classifications directly from the source.
Yeah, so we can basically import these codification libraries from the BSDD, so the Building Smart Data Dictionary. So for example, in this project I just created with this Revit sample file, I can add a new code library, a new codification library, either from scratch or by taking in a template from the BSDD. So I'll use this template option here. And this basically gives me an entire list of all systems hosted on BSDD for all different regions, different languages, and so on. So for example, if I wanted to use this ATEM library here, I can just take it, I'll name it ATEM. And actually this list of systems here is always updated live. So if there's a change, if a new system is added to the BSDD, you will automatically see this appear in Conic as well. So once I've imported this library into my project, I can start using it across my models. So for example, when I go back to this sample project here, the sample model, let me just select these toilets I was talking about earlier. And now I can actually assign the proper code for ATEM to these toilets.
Okay, working with the BSDD libraries is a simple way to make sure everyone's working with the same definitions and keeping your data consistent. Okay, so those were the 3 main improvements we wanted to share with you this month. Thank you for watching. If you want to try Conic yourself, there's nothing to install. You just head over to app.conic.com, you make a login, and you're ready to explore. And honestly, the best way to get started is often with a short personal walkthrough, because Conic can do a lot, and we'd love to show you how it can really fit into your workflow. So that's it for today. We'll be back next month with more updates. See you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.